Teresa's rushed arranged marriage was nothing more than a way for her to escape a relationship with her boyfriend, who held different beliefs. But according to her family, Teresa wasn't happy in the marriage either. She often refused to share a bed with her husband and would frequently run back to her parents' house. Hi there, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into another chilling real-life story that's bound to leave you speechless. This time, our tale comes from Tuguegarao City, Philippines, a love story filled with struggles, heartbreak, and desperate decisions. It's the story of two people fighting to be together, despite their love being unapproved by those around them. But when they felt trapped with no way out, they made a devastating choice that would change everything. What exactly happened in this case? Stick around as we uncover the full story and dive deeper into the twists and turns of this tragic tale. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this story with your friends. It helps us a lot. Alright, let's jump in. Meet Teresa, a sweet girl born in May 1995. Teresa was the kind of girl everyone would call innocent and obedient. She always did exactly what her parents wanted. Growing up in a humble household with two brothers, her family struggled financially, but they were part of a large extended family. On her father's side alone, there were countless cousins and uncles. Teresa's story takes us to a small village called Amulong, about 100 kilometers from the city of Tuguegarao. It's a quiet, peaceful place where crime is nearly non-existent, and everyone knows each other. Neighbors greet one another warmly, and the community feels tightly knit. But for outsiders, it's a different story. Locals say the village isn't exactly welcoming to visitors or tourists. There's not much to see, and if you show up without a clear reason, you might find yourself politely, or not so politely, asked to leave. Now, back to Teresa. Known for her innocence and devotion to her family, her life after high school revolved around helping her mother in the kitchen. She wasn't shy or unsocial, but her responsibilities at home always came first. Her mother worked hard, taking jobs washing clothes and cooking for traditional or religious events, and Teresa was always by her side, ready to help. Then came 2014. At one of those community events, while assisting her mom in the kitchen, Teresa met Eduardo, a 24-year-old man. Teresa was 19 at the time, and there was an instant connection between them. At first, Teresa introduced Eduardo to her parents as just a friend, but her mother and father weren't thrilled. It wasn't about Eduardo's personality or appearance. They simply couldn't look past his religious beliefs. You see, interfaith relationships in the Philippines can be a major issue, especially in traditional families. Teresa's parents were afraid that if their daughter got too close to Eduardo, it would lead to something serious, like dating or even marriage. And so, they sat her down and told her, flat out, to keep her distance. Stay friends, but don't take it further, they said. But by then, it was too late. Teresa and Eduardo had already started seeing each other in secret. They'd meet up to chat or grab a bite at a restaurant, all while trying to keep things under wraps. Of course, in a small village like Amulong, people began to notice. Gossip started swirling, and the community had plenty to say. Still, none of that stopped them. Despite the whispers, the judgment, and the disapproval from Teresa's family, their feelings for each other only grew stronger. Eduardo and Teresa had big plans for their future together. They dreamed of running away, getting married at Eduardo's brother's place, or if all else failed, leaving the country to start fresh. They even researched online which countries allowed interfaith marriages and began saving money to make their dreams a reality. But, as it often goes, parents eventually caught on. Both families discovered that Teresa and Eduardo were still seeing each other and spending time together. The backlash was immediate. Eduardo's family strongly disapproved of their relationship, and Teresa's parents were so alarmed that they decided to take drastic measures. They locked Teresa at home and, fearing she might run away, arranged for her to marry her cousin, Leandro, who was 25 years old and the son of Teresa's aunt. The wedding was hastily organized, and on August 24, 2016, Teresa married Leandro. The news shattered Eduardo's heart. Loving someone from a different faith came with immense struggles, and this was no exception. Adding to Teresa's misery, her marriage meant living with Leandro at her aunt and uncle's house, as he didn't have a job. It quickly became clear that the marriage was a forced arrangement for both of them. According to her family, Teresa avoided intimacy with Leandro, often running back to her parents' house. And as for Leandro, he didn't truly love Teresa either. He was also pressured into the marriage, despite already having a girlfriend. The result: a lifeless, unfulfilling union. 2 weeks after the wedding, Teresa secretly rekindled her meetings with Eduardo. Under the guise of visiting her parents, she would sneak off to see him. Their love hadn't faded, and they started making plans for a future together again. But this time, their plans turned dark. They decided to eliminate the obstacle in their way: Teresa's husband, Leandro. Together, they came up with a chilling plan to poison him. Eduardo went to great lengths to obtain a dangerous liquid and passed it to Teresa. On the morning of September 25, 2016, Teresa put their plan into action. Leandro was still asleep when Teresa prepared a glass of milk. She carefully mixed in a few drops of the toxic liquid, making sure it dissolved. With the glass in hand, she walked into the bedroom and placed it on the table next to the bed, leaving it there for Leandro to drink when he woke up. After mixing the milk, Teresa headed to her parents' house. Meanwhile, her husband, Leandro, woke up but wasn't in the mood for milk. Instead, he took the glass to the kitchen and put it in the refrigerator, deciding he'd drink it later. With a family gathering planned for the next day, the house was busy with preparations, and Leandro left to run some errands. Inside the house, Leandro's mother and a few relatives were cooking for the gathering. Spotting the milk in the fridge, his mother decided to use it in a yogurt mixture she was making. She knew it was Leandro's milk, she'd seen him put it there, but figured he wouldn't mind since he rarely drank milk anyway. She added it to the yogurt, which was a favorite dish among the children. The next day, the family gathering began with plenty of food on the table. Both Leandro and Teresa attended the event. As expected, the children loved the yogurt, while the adults leaned more towards syrupy drinks and alcohol. But about an hour into the celebration, chaos erupted. Children and adults began experiencing severe stomach pains, and some even started foaming at the mouth. Panic set in as 26 people were rushed to the nearest hospital. Tragically, 17 of them didn't survive. 9 were children aged 7 to 12, and 8 were adults. The remaining 10 survived but suffered from intense abdominal pain and severe headaches. The hospital quickly alerted the police, suspecting foul play due to the dangerously high levels of a toxic substance found in the yogurt. An investigation began immediately. Tracing the source, the police discovered the milk used in the yogurt had come from Leandro's refrigerator. His mother confirmed this, adding that her son had placed it there and that it had originally been prepared by Teresa. When questioned, Leandro revealed that Teresa had made the milk. The police then turned their attention to Teresa, suspecting her involvement in the incident. At first, she denied everything, claiming the milk might have been contaminated by a lizard or other random occurrence. But as the evidence mounted, Teresa was arrested on September 29, 2016, barely a month into her marriage. Under pressure and the threat of severe punishment, Teresa eventually confessed to the crime and implicated her lover, Eduardo, in the plan. Eduardo was arrested the following day. Both admitted they had plotted everything out of love, with the hope of removing Leandro so they could marry abroad. The confession was devastating for the extended family, as 16 relatives had lost their lives due to Teresa and Eduardo's actions. While their original target was Leandro, the result was catastrophic and classified as a premeditated crime. Teresa's parents, overwhelmed with guilt, expressed regret for forcing their daughter into the marriage with Leandro. They explained that their intentions were to protect her and ensure her future, especially given societal and legal challenges surrounding interfaith relationships in the Philippines. What made the tragedy even more heartbreaking for the family was the involvement of Teresa's aunt, Veronica. Not only did she support Teresa's relationship with Eduardo, but she also witnessed Teresa pouring the toxic liquid into Leandro's milk and did nothing to stop her. Veronica was arrested on October 1, 2016, for failing to prevent the crime. In the Tuguegarao Regional High Court, both Teresa and Eduardo were found guilty of second-degree felony murder. The judge ruled that they had intentionally planned to take a life, even though the outcome involved unintended victims. Both were sentenced to life imprisonment but were given the possibility of parole after serving 25 years. Veronica, as an accessory to the crime, was sentenced to 1 year in prison. 3 months into his sentence, Leandro filed for divorce from Teresa. However, tragedy struck again when, in August 2020, Leandro passed away due to complications from the pandemic virus. Despite the shocking nature of Teresa's case, it highlighted a bigger issue in the Philippines: the prevalence of forced marriages. According to Francisco, a human rights advocate in Tuguegarao City, many parents in the region prioritize their own wishes over their children's feelings, pushing them into marriages they aren't ready for or don't want. This dynamic often leads to strained relationships, domestic violence, and even fatal outcomes. If we look at Leandro's situation, being forced to marry Teresa, it's clear his parents didn't consider his happiness, only their own goals, Francisco explained. When love isn't part of the equation, it creates resentment, pain, and sometimes violence. In fact, studies show that this cultural pressure contributes significantly to the high death rate among young people aged 17 to 27 in the region. The takeaway: if someone isn't ready, don't pressure them with constant questions like, "When are you getting married?" or try to force them into an arranged marriage. Love and readiness can't be rushed, and trying to force it often does more harm than good. What lessons can we learn from this story?